Man, when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like the city of Dalton never sleeps. There's always new shenanigans that pop up out of the woodwork, out of nowhere. And today is no exception. Now, I was able to get my hands on the deposition to Tiffany Henyard, specifically with the Bert Alderson Law Group that represented the trustees that went against Henyard in certain policies. Now that she's in power, now that she's in, the position of control, she does not want to pay these people.
But everybody heard it, them trustees, when they ran with me. You were selling mayor's vision at the doors. And now when it's time to implement the mayor's vision, nobody wants to implement it because they got their own hidden agenda. They got a puppet master. And they the puppets. That's the problem. I'm not joining that circus.
You know what I'm saying? Out of pure spite because they went against her. It's actually crazy. And to have this displayed to our country with her not caring, just blatantly lying on the deposition, saying she doesn't remember, coming 40 minutes late. Listen, it's a whole saga. We're gonna go ahead and jump into this, man. Shout out Hannibal is hungry. I reached out to him and he hit me back so quick. He hit me with the full deposition. I could not find it, so shout him out. He's awesome. Go check out his videos, man. But we're going to go ahead and take a deeper look into this thing because we finally got it in our hands. Also, go check out my Patreon if you want to see and read through the full deposition. I'll have it up there as well. Now, starting off, we have page 4. We're gonna hop around here and we're gonna find the main points here. But the main theme of this entire deposition is, bitch, where's my money? Bitch, where's my money? What's that? 4 words? That's the entire thing. Just the cliff notes. If you wanted to come here and find out what this was about, boom, there you had it. But it's the response that Henyard gives out that it's the responses for me. But let's go ahead and check this out. So getting straight into it, we go with the first question from McGrath. They're like, all right, good morning, Mayor Henyard. She responds, good morning. They say, how are you? I'm here. Okay. We're here obviously to take your deposition in the matter of Alderson, Murphy, Frazier, and McGrath versus Tiffany Henyard in your official capacity as mayor of the village of Dalton. We are here in pursuant to notice and agreement of parties. The deposition was supposed to start at 9, but the mayor through council indicated that she was running late, so we're going to start now. It's about 9:40, okay? She responds. If we could start out, you've been sworn in. If you could just state your name for the record. She responds, Tiffany Henyard. Okay, and just from the get-go, if you can keep your voice up, this conference room, we have people talking in the hallways. There's traffic right outside the window. So just so everyone can hear you, okay? She responds, Now I'm going to stop it right there. I mean, 40 minutes late, my sister in Christ, what are you doing? They're suing you and you're going to show up 40 minutes late, which already is like, a good little middle finger up to them. You. I don't want to be here. You're suing me. I think this is ridiculous. She's kind of flexing her muscle. I'm pretty sure she came through with her damn squadron of 4 police officers and a Cadillac SUV or whatever she's driving around the city in. But let's continue. So they kind of tell her like, hey, you can't say because we're at page 12 now, but for a lot of those pages, she just responded by saying and you can imagine how that translates in real life. But anyways, moving on. They go on to say, in your own words, can you tell me what this case is about? She responds, what this case is about? You guys? When you say you guys, then she responds, your firm. Okay. She responds, suing for funds. Is that it? She responds, yeah. So your understanding of this case, and I don't want to, because I asked you to put it in your own words, is that you guys, my law firm, is suing you for funds, correct? She responds, correct. And we're not suing you individually. We're suing the village to be paid for legal fees. Would that be accurate? And then her lawyer goes ahead and objects to that. And then they explain to her that even if your lawyer objects, you still have to answer the question. So her lawyer, who's representing her, objects, and then then they go ahead to ask the question again. They say, is that correct or not correct? Then Henyard just said she object, like my lawyer objected. Then they respond, okay, but she objects, but that goes into record. And then if it gets in front of a judge, the judge will then rule on that. Just because she has an objection doesn't mean you don't have to answer. So she responds, but I answered. You asked me to put it in my own words, and that's my own words. They respond, yes, I followed up. And then she responds, and then you're rephrasing my words and you want me to agree to what you're saying. I don't agree. Okay, why do you not agree? Because you guys are suing for funds. That's what you're doing. Okay, when you say funds, I'm not clear. What are funds to you? She responds, money. Okay, have you ever reviewed the complaint for this lawsuit? She responds, the complaint for the lawsuit? The one for you guys suing for funds, right? They respond, the reason why we're here is because of the lawsuit. A complaint was filed in court. There's been an answer and other documents filed. So yes, the complaint, have you ever reviewed that complaint? She responds, I looked over it. And when did you first look it over? When I had to answer the questions. Okay. And when was the last time you reviewed the complaint or the answers to the questions in the complaint? When I submitted them. Okay. And I don't want you to tell me any statements or conversations you may have had with your attorneys, but did you work with attorneys to provide those answers? I did not. You see what's happening, right? She's playing stupid. She's trying to be smart. She's trying to be elusive. But honestly, it's like, ma'am, you have to answer these questions. You can't just sit there and say that you don't remember getting a complaint. Like you're here because of that. These are like preliminary questions. We haven't even gotten to the reason why they haven't had their money yet. And you're not going to believe what her reasoning is for them not having their money yet. But anyways, she's fighting an uphill battle and she's losing right now. But let's continue. So the question is, did you receive a copy of the complaint? The complaint that has been filed in this case, did you get a copy of it either by email or was it left in your office or mailed to you for review? She responds, don't recall. You stated just a few moments ago that you did review the complaint after it was filed. Though correct, you just testified to that. To my response to what I wrote, not to my answers. Yeah, so I'm just trying to delve into that a little bit. So it's like pulling teeth, It's like pulling teeth just to get her to admit that she's seen the complaint. Now that we kind of backed her into a corner, she's like, okay, I've seen the complaint, whatever. We get a little background information about Henyard. And I think this is a very important segment to bring to light because there was a lot of questions that I had. Did she graduate high school? Did she get a GED? What was her past like? Because she speaks very ignorant.
Hey, y'all! It's your mayor, Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor. We here in the village of Dalton and we about to get our skate on. Remember, when all 5 of them trustees said no, look what God did.
And I mean, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world to speak properly, especially as a representative of a whole city. So let's move on. They asked the question, I'd like to go into your background a little bit. Can you tell us about your education? Did you graduate high school? She responds, yes. What year and what high school? She says, Thornridge. Okay, you're going to have to keep your voice up. It's trailing off a little bit. Okay, when did you graduate from Thornridge? She responds, 01. Oh, you might have to move your hand from your mouth because it's blocking. She responds, okay. This is the most important person in the room. Okay, I think they're pointing toward the typing person. to take down everything, okay? So in '01, where were you living? When you graduated from high school, what municipality? She responds, Dalton. Okay, did you attend college, junior college, after graduating from, and then she responds, Robert Morris University. So people, she graduated high school. No GED, no, maybe she got pushed forward. I don't know. Maybe they just pushed her along, but she graduated high school, which is confirming my suspicions. She knows how to speak properly. She just refuses to because she thinks she's above that somehow. So they respond, we're getting to the point where we're getting comfortable with each other. So you're starting to answer before I'm done with the question. Again, just for the record, so it's clear, you graduated from Thornton High School in, she responds, no, Thornridge. He responds, big difference. For sports, there's a big difference. Falcons, yes. He responds, yeah, so you graduated from Thornridge in the spring of 2001, and then did you graduate from college or junior college? She responds, yes. He says, okay, and when did you start and where did you go? Robert Morris University, downtown Chicago, she says. Did you start in the fall of 2001? She responds, yes. Did you graduate from Robert Morris? She says, yes. What year did you graduate? She responded, '03. What kind of a degree or certificate did you receive? She responds, bachelor's. Of what? She responds, business administration. And I mean, shout out to all my business people out there, all my business administration folks. But I mean, you're already fishy to me. You went to college and you did business administration. I mean, I feel like you could learn that just from day-to-day knowledge. I mean, obviously accounting, you have to learn accounting and you have to learn, what else? I don't know all the side things you have to learn, but clearly she didn't learn it because if she took business administration and she can't even remember if she got a complaint put on her desk, I think something's really wrong there. But let's continue. She says business administration. A Bachelor of Arts? She responds, yes. Is that typically a 4-year program and you finished in 3 years? She responds, accelerated, yes. I went all year round, full year. They respond, all right. Any other degrees, certificates, other than receiving the Bachelor's of Arts from Robert Morris? She responds, no. Briefly go over your employment, please. Starting after college, did you work anywhere? And then they just continue on grilling her. They continue, you can go in succession of your jobs. She responds, I don't recall. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. So, okay, so if you graduated from Robert Morris in 2003 to 2004, she responds, 2003. All right, did you start working anywhere after you graduated from Robert Morris? She responds, no. Okay, what's your first job that you remember having after you graduated Robert Morris? I didn't, she responds. Yeah, she was too busy probably shoplifting or some shit. Okay. Have you held any jobs or positions or indicated you're an entrepreneur? Did you own any companies after graduating Robert Morris? She responds, yes. Okay. If you can take us through those, where you worked or what you owned or what you operated. What has this got to do with the deposition? She responds. It's background information. For what? They respond, you're entitled to get background information. Now she responds, I'm not about to give you my history. What? Let's get to the deposition. Let's get to the business. She didn't say that, but that's what I heard her say in my head. Let's get to the deposition, why I'm here. They respond, okay. You want to know my childhood? What's going on? Everybody know we have a legal fight, right? Let's get to that. Unfortunately, that's not how it operates. Okay, well, I don't recall. They respond, okay, so your testimony under oath today is that you don't recall your jobs, positions you held, or businesses you may have owned, operated, or after you graduated Robert Morris. She responds, yep. See, that's just a blatant lie. That's just a blatant lie. You know you remember. And if you don't remember, we might need to take a look at your tax information because it's we might be in some problems then. If you don't remember, who knows if maybe you forgot to report some tax information that was really critical. Who knows? Because you don't remember shit, right? But let's continue. Okay, you are an elected official, correct? She says yes. Are you a politician as a result of being an elected official, correct? She says yes. What was the first public office you ever ran for? She responds, trustee. All right. What year was that? She she responds, I don't recall. When you first ran for trustee, and that's for Village of Dalton, correct? Correct. And were you elected, or did you run a couple of times? She said, I ran twice. Okay, so the first time you ran as village trustee, you were not elected? No, I didn't make the ballot. Oh, okay. You ran second time and made the ballot, correct? She says, correct. And then you were elected as the village trustee. She says, correct. And what year was that? She responds, 13. Who was the mayor of Dalton when you were elected trustee? She responds, Riley Rogers. And Dalton trustee, that's a 4-year term, correct? She says yes. So that would have your term went from 13 to 17. She responds, yes. And then you did run for re-election in 17. She responds, yes. And were you re-elected? She responds, I was. Okay, and that term would have been 17 to 21. Yes. All right, and did you then ran for mayor, correct? She responds, correct. For the Village of Dalton, when did you first run for mayor for Village of Dalton? She responds, during the election cycle. Okay, and what year was that? I don't know. What year? Whatever year it ended is the year I ran for. Okay. What year were you sworn in? She responds, 21. Okay, did anyone else run for mayor in that election? She responds, yes. They ask her, who else? I know Riley Rogers did. All right, anyone else you remember? Shaw did. Shaw? What's Shaw's first name? I mixed them up. I don't know. He have a twin brother, so I don't recall. But that's what I recall who was on the ballot. So it was you, Riley Rogers, and one of the Shaw brothers. She responds, yes. Okay, and you were elected? She says, yes. Okay, and you are also township supervisor, correct? She says, correct. Super mayor? She says, correct. Question. Yeah. Were you elected by the residents of township to become the township supervisor? And she says, no. How did you become supervisor? Appointed. By who? He says. And then she responds, the township board. So this is a big thing I want to point out so far, now that we've gone through this so far. She tries to parade herself around like she's this big for the people mayor and the people voted her in. And the way she speaks in my head, I was like, oh, she was voted in by the people for sure, right? No, it was the board of trustees. So it was that one little group of folks who probably thought she had something good to bring to the table, probably thought she would have been, valuable. And she, pissed in everybody's face, basically. So I thought that was really interesting to find. But yeah, let's move forward. Now that we understand her, we went through her school, her schooling background, her political background, and her college background. She has a pretty good background, I'm not gonna lie. Like, for someone who has a bachelor's, it's like, where did it all go wrong, Tiffany? Where did this shit go wrong? But anyways, let's continue. They move on. Okay, do you know anyone at Storino, Romello, and Durkin? That's the law firm that's out in Rosemont. She responds, I couldn't pinpoint someone to you at this moment. They respond, okay, so does that law firm sound familiar to you? Have you ever dealt with them before? It sounds familiar, yes. And do you know how the law firm would have been retained by you to defend you in this matter? I seek different opinions, so it could have been just someone seeking different opinions for counsel. Without going into conversations, have you ever met with anyone from the law firm to discuss this litigation, this lawsuit? I don't, I don't, I don't recall, she responds. Now, before we even move forward, the question is, have you met with someone from that law firm to speak about this? It's so straightforward. And she's going to say she doesn't recall. Like, that's the most blatant. Like, why are you lying to us? We're not stupid. Like, at least treat us like we have some sort of understanding. You don't recall, but then they're representing you mysteriously, but you don't recall if you guys spoke about this deposition or what you would be covering. None of that. You just don't remember. Amnesia hits you across the head. Okay. So this is a second law firm that you've brought to defend you in this matter, correct? She responds, more than likely. Like, what? Ma'am, you had to hire these people. She responds, more than likely. And who is paying their fees to defend you in this case? No one has gotten paid anything, she says. Who is going to be obligated to pay that law firm to defend you in the case? We haven't gotten that far yet. They continue. When you mean you haven't gotten that far yet, what do you mean? She responds, I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for you now to say who or what I'm going to do. They respond, well, let's just be clear. You now have two firms contesting this case. This case pertains to legal fees which have been approved by the Board of Trustees for payment, which have not been vetoed, correct? And then there's an objection made. They continue to ask the question. You can answer. It's in my answer. My answer is in my statement, Henyard responds. They continue and just say, you can answer. They object to a compound question. He says again, you can answer. So basically, every time they ask a question, there can be an objection, but the objection, like they'll object, but there's no judge there. So they'll just put that in place so that when they take it to a judge, the judge can see if it's a valid objection or not. But whenever they do that, whenever they object, Henyard is just sitting there thinking like she doesn't have to say anything. She's just over there like, They objected, so I don't have to say anything. So when you hear him say, you can answer, and then they object, and then he says, you can answer, and then they might say something in the corner. And then he says again, you can answer. She's over here thinking that she's safe from the question. You still have to answer the question. So anyway, she finally responds. So the question is about the veto. They respond, okay, let's just break it down. This case, when we started out, is about funds or fees that my office is suing to be paid, correct? She responds, okay. No, you have to say, is that correct or is that incorrect? She responds, it's about funds you're trying to get. Okay, and defending you in this case is the Delgado Law Group and the new Storiano Law Firm, correct? She responds, correct. Okay, so it literally took us like 3 pages to finally get that out of her mouth. She is being represented by 2 firms, and I think you guys can understand where they're about to go with this. But if you don't, let's continue. So now that you have 2 law firms defending you in this case, where our office is trying to get fees for our funds, correct? She says, okay. Okay, the complaint lays out that the fees or funds that we are looking to recover were approved for payment by the Board of Trustees, and that's at least alleged in the complaint. Fair enough? If that's what the complaint says, they respond, okay, the complaint also says that you did not veto any of the approved payments by the Board of Trustees, correct? You have to answer. She responds, it's whatever, if that's what the complaint says. That's what she responds. Okay, you are not paying personally to defend this legal fee in this case, correct? She responds, correct. The Village of Dalton taxpayers and residents are paying for the defense of this case, and the 2 law firms that are defending you in this case, correct? No one has gotten paid. What are you talking about? They respond, no, I'm not talking about that they have been paid or not, that there's going to be an obligation to pay the law firms defending you, correct? They ask another question. Miss Granfield should be paid for her time being here and defending you, correct? She responds, correct. And the Storino law firm filing an appearance, reviewing documents, and defending you, they should be paid also, correct? So basically, what I'm starting to notice is like they're basically saying you're hiring all these other law firms, and what do you do after you acquire these law firms to keep from being sued and having legal issues, right? You pay them, correct? So you're using tax dollars, people from the community, to not only defend yourself, but you're defending yourself with two major law firms. And on top of that, you need to use the taxpayer money to pay us back as well. This is not only an attack on her, I feel like. This is an attack on her whole standing as a mayor, because they're basically directly saying that she's not paying. And on top of that, she's using two other firms with y'all's money, with the taxpayer money. Crazy, right? Man, the more you look at this, the crazier this lady becomes, because who in their right mind already knows they're in a deficit, they're in the hole, they owe these people because they had this whole vindictive, problem with that law firm who helped the trustees. Who in their right mind hires two firms just to go even deeper into the hole? I don't know, that if that doesn't spell crazy to you, I don't know what will. But anyways, let's continue. All right, so we move forward, and they start to ask her a bunch of questions about her township, rule, her trustees and their views. Do they align with yours? Did they not align? What type of issues did you guys have? For example, they said, they asked her, question, in the spring of 2021, was the board of trustees, because you refer to them as my board? She responds, mm-hmm. Did they stay as your board and share your visions and directions of the village of Dalton?
Because at the end of the day, all we've been doing, everybody, is fighting since I became mayor in the village of Dalton. I never thought in a million years that my team, the team that I ran with, including Allison Key for the clerk, would sit here and turn on me the way y'all did, right, a week, 2 weeks into taking office. That showed me that you guys would have been planning, plotting, meeting. People already been snitching on y'all this entire time. It's sad. But I sit here and I let y'all say whatever y'all want to say. But when other people want to talk, y'all want to interrupt, get mad, not let them get their point across. Y'all need to stop. Just like I sat here and I took everything y'all said, and then I respond. Y'all got to learn to do the exact same thing, but it get too hot in the kitchen that you got to jump in and got to engage with people while they trying to get their point across. You guys can make assumptions, say whatever you want up here. You don't know the day-to-day. Y'all get to a board meeting and don't even ask questions before you get to the board meeting. But then we put on a show and try to act like people not paying bills, people owe money, people got all these issues. That's what y'all do. And y'all could have easily, I keep saying what? Call my phone.
A bunch of objections fly, whatever. Then they ask another question. Okay, what happened starting the third meeting? Henyard responds, you guys got involved. Okay, and what happened? You created turmoil. So would you be talking, with you saying that, what month of 2021? She responds, I don't know. So she's already She's already blaming them for causing turmoil. She's not blaming herself and her policies and her unwillingness to bend and listen to the trustees. She goes straight to saying, you guys came, you guys caused turmoil. Now this is where it gets good. This is where it gets spicy. This is where we start seeing where her wrath comes from, where her hatred for this law firm comes from. Let's continue. Do you recall in September 2021 that the Board of Trustees presented an ordinance creating the position of legislative counsel? She responds, I don't know when they did it, but yes, they did do that. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you if you trust me, it was September of 2021. They object, a bunch of objections fly. Finally, she gets to respond. She says, they're going to take it. They're going to pick, go right, go left. I don't know what that means. He responds, and you vetoed the ordinance which created the position of legislative counsel, correct? Do you recall that? I don't recall. All right. Do you know why you vetoed that ordinance which created the position of legislative counsel? I don't recall if I did or not, but if I did, we all should work things out if I did. Do you recall that the board appointed my office, Alderson, Murphy, Frazier, and McGrath, as the firm to represent the board as legislative counsel? She responds, correct. All right. And you vetoed the board action in naming my office as legislative counsel, correct? I don't recall, but if I'm saying if I did, I probably did. I don't recall the date or when or okay, so her English is breaking down. I don't understand what that means, but long story short, she doesn't recall. Yeah, I'm not asking for dates, just more like would you veto the board's action on naming the office as legislative counsel? Did you have any reason to do so? So basically, we're moving to the final and most damning piece of evidence I feel like exists on this deposition, and that's the fact that she just suddenly refused to sign checks. And they kind of lead up onto this, and they're like, well, you pay these firms to defend yourself. It's for your best interest, but whenever it comes to something that isn't in your best interest, you want to have all these different hurdles to not pay us. When the firm, honestly, they didn't have anything to do with it. They were hired by the trustees. They did their job. They're supposed to be paid no matter who's in power. And that's what I think they're trying to prove as her being, hypocritical, having retaliation against the firm that just did their job. So let's go to this last page right here where they kind of highlight her intentionally not signing checks. And when you hear her reason, it's going to make you scratch your head. Okay, but the question is, because this lawsuit has been pending for some time, has that always been the case? That there's been 2 signatures on all checks? I can speak to right now. I can't speak to nothing else but now. Why can't you speak? Right now there's 2 signatures. Why can't you speak to because I don't know? If a payment for an invoice has been presented on a warrant list and voted and approved by the Board of Trustees, I believe you stated that the payment should be made unless it's something illegal, correct? Or not budgeted for, she responds. Hold on. The light just popped on, or not budgeted for. Okay, so what does that mean? Yes. He responds, okay, if it's legal and proper, who puts together the checks for the signature? You have to ask administration. I don't know who handled that. Then they go on to just ask her like straight up, like, what's the deal? Do you have any description in not signing a check that has been approved for the payment by the corporate authorities? A whole bunch of objections fly, and then they tell her basically, you have to answer. She responds, you guys are not in the budget. And then they go back and forth and they say, well, the trustees appointed that in the budget for us and this and that and the other. But basically she's saying, I'm not going to pay you because it's not in the budget. And she's trying to use, I guess, not the law, but the budget itself as an excuse to not pay these people. Actually crazy. Now, there's a lot more of this information. I just kind of skimmed through this thing, man. So stay tuned. I'm sure I'm going to find a few more things in this thing. But I just found it crazy that she's actually going to go in front of the world, do this deposition, and basically tell us that she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember how checks were formatted. She doesn't remember when certain practices were done. Nothing. And when they ask her why she has 2 law firms and how she's going to pay them, she's like, oh, we haven't even gotten to that yet. I don't know how much I'm going to pay them. If I was those other 2 law firms representing her, I would be kind of nervous because who knows? She might not pay us either. And I think that's what they were trying to say with that entire thing. But anyways, people, I appreciate you guys, man. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna come back with some of the Keith Freeman deposition. It's some more telling information, and I mean, it's just page after page of chaos. But until the next one, folks, stay inside, stay safe. I love you guys, man. I'm gonna see you in the next one. I'm out of here.